toy.
We want it bin. I have spoken.
So your highlights?
Are you recording now?
I'm recording now.
Okay.
Finish. Put food in your mouth.
Take a huge bite.
Take a huge bite.
You want me to rank them? I don't want to rank them. I don't want to rank.
No, we
collection
shouldn't
visits.
rank them, but
But I would say my I don't know. Highlights. Visiting Tracy Hamilton's collection was amazing. Visiting Jerry Gallo's collection was amazing. I also have to say, like, maybe it's just where I'm from. It was nice to go to a toy show where they had actual toys in abundance. And especially the vintage, like that was
yeah,
unparalleled. But if you like toys, there was almost something for everybody there, no matter what they're into, you know, no matter what era they're into, too.
right.
And it was a true toy show in my estimation.
Right, and there wasn't, Target and Walmart exploded all over the place.
Yeah,
Well, there's a little
there's a little bit, but
Huh?
There was a little bit.
There was a little bit.
it didn't dominate it.
Not enough pops.
Yes, they needed like 15 more pop vendors. There's only like 2 or 3.
How about you, Tony?
Like I said, I didn't get to hit a bunch of the bigger collections. I think Mark's Akbar focus was just. I'm not sure what kind of superlative can describe it because it's just.
It's
massive.
overwhelming, dude.
Yeah,
He had thousands of Akbar pieces.
yeah. Even the Lally column holding up his basement was
Yeah.
an Akbar scepter.
Pointer, yeah.
And Vicky and Mike's,
Yeah.
that was really cool.
Yeah.
And yeah, I mean, it was everything that I saw. Everyone was very welcoming.
Right. That's the cool part.
I like Dave Brott's food-based presentation, like in the kitchen
Oh,
Yeah.
with like
that
two
was
cabinets,
awesome.
was fantastic.
Fit right in.
Yeah,
I mean, it was like you're in a museum, you know.
Oh, I missed that part of the tour.
It was in his kitchen. You open the pantry, and it's like a Star Wars food pantry. Everything in there, like you do a double take. It's like, oh wow, everything in there has some sort of Star Wars promotional or branding or whatever, and it's in his actual kitchen that he uses.
I have to say, for my personal
much
was the Limples, just because I liked what they had. I'm into because they had a bunch of cool micro stuff, and it was just everywhere you turn there was something else.
I think it was really great to be able to talk to so many people from so many places with so many histories in one place, in person, you know?
Right.
It's like, the all-star cast.
Right.
Well, then the thing that was cool about it is instead of like being in Celebration when you're only like maybe 1 or 2 people, are local, or you're oh, excuse me. Nobody's close to where they're at. The location here, everybody's close or within a half an hour drive, so you're in everybody's hometown, or a big chunk of people's hometown. So you're able to experience the town differently.
And the town itself with the businesses and the attractions and the buildings and the history. it's a very industrial design town.
Right.
And Kenner's an industrial design company in some ways, so there's a lot of that.
And everybody's
Exuding.
so nice up here. It's different. Well, because we had people stop us because you're trying to figure out where you're at.
Right. Yeah.
And people are like, "What are you looking for?" And they
Yeah.
tell you. And any other town, you expect, "Hey man, you got $1?"
Yeah.
And there was none of that.
Yeah. Just people wanting to help you get where you want to be.
We're awesome.
Great.
How you doing over here, buddy?
So yeah, it was like I had a pause. I paused a moment, and I'm like, "All right, are you gonna ask me for $1?" And they're just like, "Have a good day."
Oh, your buddies came in the other night.
So for me, I think I'm coming from this from a different perspective from you guys because I've visited some of these collections before. So that wow factor is not quite the same, but it's still great to kind of dig in further or see something new, and especially just hearing the stories behind the pieces is always great, and it's always something different that you hear each time. So for me, I think the parts of the weekend that really stood out were the times that I think big groups got together to do
Yeah.
stuff. So I think first moment I thought during the weekend that really happened, I mean there's so many, but I felt like there was this real great vibe was at like Jerry James' place. When,
Yeah.
a lot of the New York guys had just come into town.
Yeah.
And, we were doing a lot of touring on Thursday, but it was just kind of the 4 or 5 of us. And, of course, we had a great dinner on Thursday night, but I just felt like the weekend had just started when we were at Jerry James. And I had not seen his collection before and was quite overwhelmed with it because I was not quite. I knew he had a very nice one. Didn't realize it's an incredibly stellar collection and how
Yeah.
it's displayed. And just Jerry's somebody I've talked to and gotten to know actually really well over the last couple of years. But most of it has been online. I think we've met once at Celebration, but very briefly. But because he's at a bounty hunter focus, and I'm kind of in that dabble in the same, and so we've talked quite a bit. But it was great to actually spend time with him in his house, and I felt like the first time a bunch of us came together, and it was like that that weekend energy kind of really got going and started revving up. So that was number one. I think the next one, and I'll group these together, I'm going to cheat, but Vicky and Mike's and Dave Brock's big events. Both on Friday night and Saturday. Because of the energy and the atmosphere of it, under the starlights for Vicky, and they had a wonderful collection as well. But just to see everybody just hanging out, in the same place, I think that's the magic of this weekend, and those events. And same thing at Dave's. I think Dave's may have had the largest group in one place at one time. I'm not sure about room sales, but
I think it's more than room sales,
It
honestly.
might, it might have been more people in the room. So.
Yeah.
And of course, this Dave is a good friend, and I think it's the third time I visited him in the last 12 months, and so we've gotten to know each other really well. But it's again, we had a lot of fun there. He has got a lot of cool different types of items in his collection. But again, I think it was most about just hanging out with other people.
Right.
So I'll group those two events together as one. And then the third one was our kind of road trip on Saturday.
Because that was a good group too.
Right.
Which was a ton of fun. I'd certainly seen most of those sites before, but just kind of doing that and walking with you guys and, driving from one place to another, getting group shots and, just taking a, walk through over the ride and having, a great lunch. That was really cool and a really cool memory of the city, that's uniquely Kenner, uniquely Cincinnati. So those three things I think really stood out for me.
Yeah, at a moment during that tour, I had to take a step back because you count heads and you're like, wow, or a group of like 10 people from Georgia that made this trip, and
And that's the other thing. It's
Yeah.
so hard to get people together sometimes to coordinate in a weekend
You
like
come
this.
together 600 miles from home or whatever.
Right.
it is.
Yeah, and it's so, everybody's doing lots of different things. They have different priorities they want to do this weekend. So it was great to have those moments like that.
right.
Yeah, and we got some. I'm looking back through some of those photos. Those are some like really great photos. The one in front of Hall of Justice, Union Terminal. That was a great photo.
Yeah.
Of course, the mural, and it's just a fun time.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I'm looking forward to it next year, man. Hopefully my wife we can make it a joint trip and come up here and spend the week and then spend the time at the toy show. Because it's,
Book your
Cincinnati.
hotel room now.
Huh?
Book next year's hotel room now.
Yeah.
October 2nd.
Is it October 2nd next year?
I think though, for a lot of people, I think this show was even a little more socially more connected. I think a fair amount of people have come for the first time.
Yeah.
Which again adds to that energy. So,
Right, and
There
we
are
have
a lot of people who are here for the first time,
Right.
including myself, but there are a lot.
And with the pandemic, it's been a year and a half since stuff's
Yeah.
been happening.
But I don't know if those New York guys, I don't know if they come every time, right? I mean,
No, I think it was
some,
the first time for a lot.
but-
Mark, I think, comes.
and Ron and Chris, and
Yeah.
they've come obviously before Ed, I'm sure. But yeah, I don't think Ed Nagy. Mike Ritter probably may have come one or two times, but yeah, Brian, Emery, Chris Vargas,
yeah, those guys were fun.
Bonds, those are all their first times.
Yeah, those guys were really fun.
I guess they kind of kicked the whole thing off because they
Right, they
kind of
committed early
decided
to
to
it. They
commit
kind of made
the
a
group
group.
to it,
group
yeah.
That's
thing.
true. You're right. You're right.
And of course, I'll put a plug in for my own swag.
Yeah, everybody was like,
which was a fun
"Swag!"
thing that I
Yeah.
came up with just a week ago,
Yeah.
and I was so glad it was received so well. And
A lot of people
got a
wearing
kick
those
out of
buttons.
it.
Yeah.
a lot of people wearing the shirts.
There was a lot of people wearing the shirts
Yeah.
last night and the day I saw.
It's-
Yeah, there
True.
were people wearing them today, and the vendors were like, "Are you from Georgia?" No,
That's cool.
the Georgia group made these.
Fitting that we're sitting in a parking lot where there's a Skyline Chili logos everywhere right now.
Yeah.
Yeah,
All right. Well,
but an epic weekend.
yes, it was.
I think we'll remember it for a long time.
Which I can still have without the bread.
Sweet. Well, I guess we're gonna go get on the road.
Yeah.
Got a long ride home. You.
Erica, the sad day of saying goodbyes to each other. But knowing we'll do this again.
How you doing over here?
Everyone else, I think, made a lot of new friends or made better connections with the friends we already had. And
Or physically met people that we've been
Right.
we've been in touch with online for the past year and a half.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a good chunk of people like that. All right, guys.
all right.
That's it.
Safe journey home.
Yeah.
Where you headed?
Back to
Back to the
Atlanta.
future?
Yes.
Wouldn't that be nice, though? You could travel. See what's coming the next week.
Yeah.
If you want to go out.
So Narayan and I are 4 hours outside of my house. We're about 3 hours into the trip home, and just trying to Narayan got a good 2 hour nap in because he didn't sleep this weekend. I tried to sneak in some rest. So we're just trying to recreate the events of yesterday, which was sort of another blur. We wake up semi early, got some cheap hot food at the hotel, which it's kind of nice, even though it's not the best food. It's nice to have that option. Save a little bit of money, and the coffee was good, so that's nice. It's nothing worse than having crappy coffee at a hotel, or you got to go to Starbucks or whatever to grab coffee. But we did that, and then we went saw the Union Station, which is the Hall of Justice in the Superpowers. Super Friends. And that's the first time I've been inside of it. It's actually a really cool Art Deco type place, and you walk around in there. It looks like there's 3 or 4 different museums in there, and it sort of still has the same feel from when it was a terminal back in however long, back in the 20s, I guess. We had a bunch of people from the club come up and meet us over there. We got pictures. We spent about an hour in there just looking around, and then we went to the mural, checked that out. There's that construction I was worried about. We got some delays coming up, but then we went over to the mural, checked that out. Downtown looked like it was pretty crazy yesterday, because they had like an Asian food festival and some other kind of artist art that we ended up walking through to get to the Stretch Monster mural. They were painted by the same people. Just a good little walk around Cincinnati. And then whose collection did we go to yesterday, Narayan?
Yeah, so then after all our sightseeing downtown near the mural, we went to Mark Schnack's place. He's a local Ohio club member who has a Admiral Akbar focus, also a smaller squid head focus. Also collects some unusual Marvel props, which he showed us as well. And I'd been to his collection before, so I knew what to expect, but I think all the people accompanying me didn't quite know what sort of Akbar focus he has, but it's probably the most Akbar related items I think we've all seen in one room. I mean, he's got everything from figures to artwork to box flats to proofs to, I don't know, custom items, swag items, you name it. Anything with Akbar, it was in there. Autographs. He even had a bar section. He called it the Ak Bar, serving Ak beer.
Yeah.
One cool thing that he does, I think, every time anyone visits his collection, which he calls the Trap, and he says that stands for Total Relaxation Among Paraphernalia, I guess the acronym. He's got a little kind of the little card back insert drawn on his wall. The turquoise back color for Akbar, and he's got a little accessory, like his Admiral Akbar staff accessory, or a squid head gun, and you can pose with it. And what he does is superimpose the image of any of his visitors on a card back, and he sends it to us. And he also has an album that he keeps of every visitor that ever comes. So it was a cool little feature that he did. So. What do you think of that Akbar collection, seeing it, with fresh eyes?
Yeah, I did not think that there was that much Akbar stuff out there. It was pretty insane. I thought I had a Boba Fett focus, but he took it up to another level, because it's like if it's on a card, if Akbar's on a card, he's got it. And, you're looking at all these carded figures, and they're all Akbars, and he's probably got 20 or 30 of them. And, got a couple of Legos. Basically, if it's got Akbar on it, he has it, from Lego sets to mint on cards to, I think his son drew a picture of Akbar, and he's got whatever Admiral Akbar's ship, he's got a bridge of that with a bunch
diorama.
A diorama bridge of that. It just, I didn't think anybody could like
he even
a character.
had his childhood Akbar costume. I believe he said it went back to what, I don't remember, was 6 or 7 years old.
Yeah.
And he still kept that, and he actually made an adult version of that same costume, which was amazing.
Yeah, it was the time, and it was like every collection we saw. It was very well curated. It makes me want to go home and try to redo my stuff as best I can, but I'm 8 years into it, or 5 or 6 years into it. It's hard to start from scratch again, but it just every collection we saw, just very well curated.
Yeah, and so after that, which it kind of took us a while just to even look at the Akbar stuff, which was in the basement. Then when he took us upstairs to see his Marvel prop collection, which was not your typical prop collection, wouldn't you say?
Yeah, it was kind of cool. Basically it was anything that he could recreate at home, very meticulously. I mean, I don't want to say easy's not the right word for it, but that he could create stuff at home. Like a letter that somebody wrote, he would pause it and like recreate the handwriting on it. If they used a certain cell phone, he would go find a dead cell phone or cell phone from a store display and put a screenshot on that cell phone. So it wasn't.
It's sort of those blink and you miss it, but kind of important little items in the storyline of a lot of Marvel films.
Right.
So when I think of props, you kind of just think, Thor's hammer, or Captain America's shield, or Spider-Man's mask or something. But he would have things like the little diary that is the code words for the Winter Soldier, or a little a photograph that Steve looks at of his pals in World War II. He had like Tony Stark's, I guess his first little arc reactor, and like that Pepper gives him back as a gift and says proof that Tony Stark has a heart.
Yeah. Stuff
like that, like little magazine covers, little letters. I think he even had the telegram that Steve Rogers sent Tony Stark from Civil War, which is kind of cool. Gosh, there was so much. And it was basically things that no one would ever make a prop for it, like officially. So a lot of these things, I guess he's made like custom himself by just looking at screen grabs.
Right.
Or somebody, maybe has made, on, a fan site. But, not the typical things that would be like, an exclusive at some store or at a convention.
Right.
Which made it all the more interesting, I thought, to see some of these types of items. He even had things that were from the newer series. I think like from WandaVision, I think he had like the deed that Wanda had to her house.
Right.
Or like some of the commercials from WandaVision that, kind of hinted like there was like a Nexus company, and there was like a Hydra soap scrub. But yeah, just really cool. Again, it was like kind of think out of the box type of props,
right?
That were there, and he was telling us a lot of stories. Actually, he's actually visited Atlanta a few times, in the Atlanta vicinity, where they do a lot of filming for the Marvel movies, and he's visited a lot of sites, taken a lot of pictures, kind of comparing the movie, how it looks in the movie, the site, versus how it, the actual site in Atlanta where some of these things take place. Which is kind of neat, because I was like, some of these things are actually right near where I live.
Right.
And I hadn't even noticed that was used there, but I think we'll have to go take a look at some of these things now.
Yeah, he actually has them all marked on Google Maps, and he was like, I'll send you the link, so that Narayan, and you can go check it out. We actually had a pretty good conversation about how crazy it is in Atlanta about with movie stuff, because it's any given day you may see 4 or 5 movies filming if you know where to look. So that was kind of cool. And then we went over to David. What's David's last name? Dave Brott's house, and there again he was another Focus collector who focuses on Lobot, and he was like, I have 4 shelves of Lobot, so I'm doing good. Because there's only one character, you don't think there's a whole lot of stuff with
a very doable Focus.
Yes, very, very doable. But yeah, he was just sort of saying how he lumped into that, and they were doing a patch set with Ohio. It's crazy because Ohio and Kentucky, you're right there, and you're going back and forth between the states, so you forget after a few days what state you're in, because you're just crisscrossing. But it was the Ohio Club, right, with the patch set.
Yeah, they did. Yeah, they've done a few carrying case patch sets that have had like different characters on them, and so he's kind of focusing on doing the Lobot section of these patch sets or whatever magnet sets, sticker sets that they do.
Right, and it was like he was sort of late to the game, and he was like, "Oh, I'll do Lobot," and that kind of started everything, is what he was saying.
Yeah.
So it's
So
just
his place is actually called the Lobot Lounge,
right.
which is kind of the third floor attic of his home. And he seemed to have a lot of other stuff besides just Lobot. I think he had like food. He has a nice food collectibles focus.
Yeah, and I totally walked right by it because it's in his kitchen,
Yeah.
and it looks like it
opened up his
belongs.
pantry, and like those were the food collectibles in there. And a lot of cereal boxes, drinks, all sorts of things that I didn't realize even some of these things had a Star Wars related thing, but he had quite a few
Right.
to show off. He has a nice modern collection as well, nice vintage collection run, as well as some non-Star Wars lines. He had the new Unicron, which I had never seen, with my own eyes, not just seeing the online pictures, but he had that on his kitchen breakfast table, and that was pretty cool to see that.
Yeah, he was like, everybody's seeing the Star Wars stuff this weekend. I wanted something that nobody's seen before, or maybe hopefully nobody's seen, or not that many people's seen. So he had it front and center, which is kind of cool. It was an impressive transformer. He said it took like 3.5 hours to go from planet mode to robot mode, and I don't know if I have that kind of time to spend on a transformer.
And I think he also had a lot of other lines. I think he had Power Lords, some Dark Crystal items. What else did he have upstairs?
I think that was
things. I think those were the main ones.
Yeah.
He had a nice detolf setup where he had like some storage underneath them, so they were kind of raised to eye level up there. He had an interesting I think a Goonie Bird sign from a display. He also another one of the collectors from the Cincinnati area that had a Kenner sign.
right.
Real Kenner road sign. I think we saw one at Jerry Gallo's place, and here, and Mark Schneck I think had one as well.
Right. And
So those signs somehow seem to disappear, it looks like, from the road and end up in collectors' homes. And the cool thing about Dave's is he put it outside in the courtyard where we were all eating, so we could pose with it, which was a lot of fun. I got some great photos with it, acting like I was running off with it.
and going back to the sightseeing in the middle of the day, we actually went by the Kenner Street sign, and you could tell that they were prepared for people to steal it because it was bolted really good on that post. But then when you're looking at it, if you have a pickup truck and a pair of pliers, you can just take the single bolt from the bottom and throw it in the truck and be good. But I don't know if there's film or somebody
Glenn is
watching
gonna be
that.
arrested after
Yeah.
this podcast.
Unfortunately, we didn't have a big enough truck to take it with us. But
Oh boy.
yeah, it was a big sign. I don't know how you could, I don't know the proper way to be able to display that.
Yeah, but a nice wrap up to the social events of that day. Dave had cookout with burgers and hot dogs, and a good turnout.
Yeah.
I think for his thing, which preceded the room sales later that night. Most of the people that were there that weekend, I think, came by, so it was a good chance to kind of chill out, hang out, enjoy drinks together, have a nice meal, and actually just get a little relaxation in before the events of the night would go late. So
Yeah.
Dave's always been a great host. I think every time I've been to Cincinnati, he's one person I've always hung out a little bit with. So we've become pretty good friends. So that was fun.
Yep. And then room sales, it started at 9. It was one of those, it started off real slow, but about 9:15, 9:30, it was just full of people.
Yeah, good thing it was in our own hotel, which
Right.
is very convenient for us in the breakfast area of the brewery. And so we just had to go up to our room, get our stuff organized, just bring it downstairs.
Yep.
It was actually quite a bit of. The space wasn't huge, but actually it was filled up pretty quickly with a lot of people's stuff. Mostly Star Wars vintage, I would say. There's a few other things that people brought. Not a lot of prototypes per se, or few things here and there, but mostly kind of 2D things. I think a lot.
Yeah.
There was a really nice. I think Dylan Greer had a really nice Star Wars logo, Empire logo, and Revenge logo. Kind of. I don't know what to call them. They're almost like logo proof sheets.
Yeah.
And he had them nicely framed, beautiful. But yeah, way too expensive for me to but it
yeah,
somebody,
price of a decent car, you know.
but
and he
I
was wanting
imagine
that.
those are, you know, quite probably nice one of a kind pieces that would look great in, you know, anyone's collection. But yeah, I mean the Lemcool setup there, they had quite a few things, different lines as well. There's something for every budget too.
Right.
I think whatever you were looking for, you could find at least something there at room sales. Yeah, I think there's quite a wide variety of stuff. Anything you found in particular, Glenn?
I bought some Galactic Heroes prototype stuff. I found a thing for my wife that I'll show her either tonight. Our anniversary's on Wednesday, so I'll probably give it to her for that. But I'll, you know, we'll save that for later because I know she listens to the podcast. So, but I really wish there was more prototypes. I was expecting a lot more prototypes because we were in Cincinnati. But I have a feeling that the modern stuff's coming out of China versus Cincinnati. So that's why I think we didn't see a lot of it. I mean, there was one of the Ewoks. They had a hard copy with the first shot cowl or hood, which was pretty cool to see, and that was awesome. There was some first shot.
Somebody had the Tebow, or was it Tebow?
I think it was. I can't keep up with the Ewoks.
Elling, I think Elling had that. Canada. Ross Cuddy had a few like Danbury chess prototypes.
Yeah, that was cool.
So there were some modern prototypes, few lines that a few people brought. I think I picked up a few small things and one big, wow item.
Yeah, that was pretty
made
amazing.
Everything worth it, I think, for me. The kind of item I think you come to room sales to find.
Right.
I picked up a few like kind of first 12 blueprint photocopies. Like a Fed 2-up, Action Masters, one of the fake casts for that. Let's see, what else did I pick up? Really, relatively small items, and then I was just kind of wandered on over to Pete Fitzke's table as he was kind of unpacking his items and was putting a bunch of carded figures out, and he just puts down a Luke Jedi figure, or Luke Jedi card, but not your typical Luke Jedi card. This was actually a miscard on a Bib Fortuna card, so a very unique item, which I didn't think I would see again, and so I picked it up pretty quickly off the table, and Pete and I talked about it, made a deal pretty quickly, and I knew I had to grab that really quick because that's the type of item that people come to room sales and see, and it's like, it stops you in your tracks.
Yep.
And so I was very pleased I was able to grab that one very quickly. So yeah, for me, it was a very, very good room sales. So
Yes, it
I had a good time.
That was pretty amazing, man. That
And I got to sell some stuff as well. So
yeah,
it's always good when you can offset any of your purchases with sales of your own. So
right. But and in the day I went to bed at like midnight. I looked at Narayan and I went, dude, I'm done. I can't. We're gonna have an early morning tomorrow, and I can't stay up for another 2 hours and then get up at like 5:30, 6 o'clock to go to the show. So, you stayed up pretty late.
I stayed up a lot because I think one of the cool things about room sales is, and the cool thing about the whole weekend really is, it's kind of a social event in and of itself. More than just buying and selling, you're kind of hanging out with collectors again. And this was, just a nice informal venue just in the breakfast area. So you got to catch up with a lot of people, you take pictures with them, and just talk and hang out. A lot of people I knew were just hanging out in the front of the foyer or the canopy, outside the lobby, or just hanging out in the breakfast area around room sales, even though there's even if after some people had packed up and left, and just chilling out.
Right.
And so that was great, and got to talk to quite a few people that I had met before but not really gotten to know well. So that was always nice. A lot of people that I knew their name and interacted with quite a bit online, and first time face to face. Met them and talked to them, so that was wonderful. But yeah, it was a late night, as many of the nights were this whole weekend. So yeah, going into the show, which is interesting because the whole weekend was about the show, and the show kind of is the finishing event of the whole weekend that happens Sunday.
Yeah. But yeah, we got up early, and we were kind of keeping track of people that were at the show, because they were doing an early bird. You got in an hour early for like $4 extra. So we were like, yeah, let's go. And they actually had it set up pretty decent, because they were going through the line and taking people's money and giving you a wristband. So when they opened the doors, they just had to look for the wristbands instead of, we got to take money. So you're losing time basically. After that, because like when we went to Joe Fest,
they knew what they were doing.
Yeah, they had their stuff together.
Yeah, they knew what they were doing, and the convention center is not that far from the hotel at all. Really, a 5-minute drive, so that was very convenient, easy to park. All the booths were all set up, ready as soon as everybody got in the door. And what did you notice out of the tables as soon as you walked in? Where did you go right away?
I probably went. Well, the Limkels were there. I wanted to check their stuff out, and then toy department was first thing as you walk in the door. So I know I think he's got a couple of different setups, or that it's stuff. He's got a lot of stuff he could bring. So I knew it was going to be different than what we've seen in the store. So that's sort of where I gravitated, and I kind of followed you because you wanted to go to the
Bill and Tracy.
Yeah, Bill and Tracy.
Cantina
Collectibles, and check those guys out.
Yeah, I mean, you kind of know who are going to be the heavy hitters in a show like this. And, of course, the toy department, which has a great store in town. And Chris Neal always seems to have some great items anytime he does a show. And he brought his A game, I thought, to the show, and quite a few nice items that he had. One of which really caught my attention.
Yeah.
And was able to negotiate a deal with before we finished the show. It was a nice double telescoping Luke early bird kit.
Yeah.
That was there, and really nice condition Luke baggie with a box that had minimal damage, really. So the Chewy had an open bag, but that's, I think, not too hard to replace. I actually already have one as part of a non-DT set, so that that wasn't too much of a problem. But the main thing was the Luke double telescoping baggie, and the figure was didn't have any discoloration, great tape seal, and clear baggie, no issues, no slits, no cloudiness to it. So I thought that was, and it was a very good price, I thought, and he even did a better deal for me. So I was very pleased with that.
Right.
And then after that, the Cantina Collectibles, Bill and Tracy again always have good stuff. They had they have some pre-production stuff. I think they brought also a lot of kind of Kenner employee items and interesting things. I think a few of our friends picked up some cool items from them. Daniel, I think, picked up like it's almost like a yearbook picture, or like an album picture of the preliminary design department, which is a really cool pickup that he showed me. Kim Simmons was there, had a lot of nice prints again for sale, as he does at all of his shows that he attends. The Lemkels, of course, probably the largest. I think them and the toy department probably the largest booths there. They always have very good items, at good prices, and they're good guys, and I think you can always get a good deal with them. So that was also a must stop. But I think I would say about 200, 300 tables. I think they had 2 rooms.
Yeah,
so there was a lot. I mean, there was a lot of vintage to be seen. Again, for any budget. ranging from vintage, some modern, you know, some other lines. You know, not just, I guess, action figure related toys, but I think there's a fair amount of Lego. What else did you see?
Well, yeah, it was a lot of Lego. It was probably the best vintage selection I've seen, you know, in a show in a really long time. You know, for just here in Star Wars Kinder Country. So they had the cool, you know, that, and I didn't really dig through a whole lot of bins because I don't need any loose figures, and I'm trying to, you know, you try to make that one big purchase, because when I start digging through bins, I'm like, oh, I feel like I got to make a bunch of small purchases.
He did. Now, one cool thing I did think was there, and I think we all have like those items that maybe one or two pieces are missing, or some paperwork is missing, and this was a good show to actually complete some of those things.
Right.
Because a lot of people had like folders, like, you know, for paperwork or instruction sheets or sticker sheets, as well as, you know, miscellaneous parts for vehicles that you may have lost. I think Josh Buell had like weapons, like factory specific weapons for nearly all the action figures. So, you know, if you needed that specific blaster for Boba Fett, he had plenty of them for sale, or
Right.
the lightsabers for Luke, or, you know, actually, you know, beginning with, you know, the lightsabers for Vader and Kenobi. So it was easy. It was a good place to, if you needed to complete your figures, you had a way to do that. So, and a lot of the major toy stores in town, I think, were there. House of Plastic, Mike's Vintage Toys, of course, the toy department. But a lot of other vendors, I think, that were from out of town as well.
Right.
And, I had quite a few items. Good amount of carded figures, I think. You know, I think not a huge number that I was interested in just for my focus, but yeah, a fair amount, and I thought the prices were relatively fair.
Yeah,
for most of those.
Yeah, they were.
I thought the loose selection was, I mean, I think if you are a loose collector, that you had a lot of options, and you could shop around and get a really good deal on a lot of loose figures, and, you know, pretty easily find, you know, any figure you're looking for. This was a show you'd have no problem finding a Yak face, or you know, some other, you know, blue snaggletooth, figures that may be harder to find at other shows. They were plentiful.
Yeah, I saw 4 or 5 really cherry blue snags.
Yeah. So yeah, that was there was no shortage of that
Right.
at all. So, but all in all, it was a good end of the weekend. I kind of liked the show. I think we only needed about a few hours, 3 or 4 hours, to really look through everything, which is good because we needed to start driving home.
Yeah, you could definitely tell about 11:30 noon. It just kind of, as with Eddie's show, it just thins out real fast, and I guess people are going, either, you know, like us, are hitting the road, or you got people that are, you know, going to grab lunch and maybe coming back. I know that if we were staying another day, if we were staying till tomorrow, I would have, you know, it would have been nice to go get lunch, relax for a little bit, and then go back and hit the show one more time before we left, just to get that, you know, see it with a fresh set of eyes. That's what my wife will do, you know, 2 or 3 laps, and she tries alternating laps every time, so you're seeing stuff in a different angle. You know, and I thought they did a good job with the setup. I thought you know, you had a lot of room to move around in there, which was nice, because you know, that's
the great part about the show is you didn't get the setup of the show, or how the entry procedures didn't slow you down.
Right.
You got in, you got to do what you needed to do. There's plenty of space to walk around. Didn't feel like you were squished into a tight space, or, you know, very relaxed. I felt very at ease, you know, walking around and roaming and searching for things. And you know, it was a fairly large space, and I think, you know, people could spread out very easily, and search for what they needed to look for. So
it's a cool time.
yeah, and we did. What did we do? We did finish the weekend with a quick lunch with Daniel and Tony, who joined us for a lot of our adventures this past weekend. And where did we eat?
And we ate at Skyline.
Skyline Chili, the quintessential Cincinnati food staple, you know, which we designed our swag around.
this weekend, and it seems like the swag was a big hit too.
Yeah, it was
A lot of
crazy
people
seeing a lot of
recognized
people.
it immediately as when we gave it out. We had buttons, and I gave out a few shirts. We had a small shirt run that people bought some shirts for, and I thought that was cute because it was something that I think I turned around in a week, and I wasn't sure I could even get done in time. So it was nice that I was able to have it in time for the show, and it seemed like it was a big hit.
Yeah,
Everybody was wearing their buttons as soon as they got them. So
right, shirts the next day people were wearing them, so that was kind of cool too. All right, y'all have a great rest of your week. Narayan, thanks for the fun weekend, man.
yeah, thank you, Glenn. It was a fun time hanging out together.
Yeah.
I think it was even better than I think we thought it would be.
Right.
You know, I think we all made lots of new friends, got reconnected with older ones, and there was a nice energy to seeing everybody in the setting of Cincinnati and Kenner country, and seeing the sites as well as visiting some of the collections locally in the area, some of which I think are world class.
Right.
And as well as hunting for toys in the place where it all started. Something special about doing that. And so yeah, we're both tired,
Yeah.
driving back home. But I think we'd do this again in a heartbeat.
Oh, yeah.
Pretty memorable weekend that I think we'll both have fond memories for in a long time.
Yep. Narayan took a lot of pictures, so I'll get to go through them and see it. He did an awesome job documenting it. So, and yeah, good memories.
Fantastic.
Yeah.